welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. I'm Lindsay, and this video is about head empty books. It is all my opinions, and I am not going to be offended if you have a different opinion, and I really hope I don't offend anyone in this video. It was inspired by, I came up with this idea to make this video after watching a episode of Smosh Mouth, and I will put the clip in here if I can.
Kiana said, we should encourage people to read more head-empty books.
I agree.
She said, I think people don't like to read, quote unquote, because there are subconscious rules about the books you should, quote unquote, be reading. There are so many head-empty books. Find your niche and, unplug. And it's so true,
So first and foremost, I watch a lot of Smosh. I love Smosh, and I have seen Shane talk about being an avid reader and reading a lot of different books, and including classics and all that kind of stuff. So if he can say that, for a lack of better words, why do I see so many takes of people being so pretentious when it comes to reading? Especially in a time where we're all in America at least working at least 40 hours a week, oftentimes more, and with everything going on in the world, can we really blame people for just wanting a silly little escape when it comes to reading? It's good to exercise your brain and read things that make you think more deeply and such, but every time you read, you are exercising parts of your brain. As far as I understand, I will link articles below about how you are exercising your imagination and your memory, and you are building more empathy every single time you put yourself in someone else's shoes and read someone else's story like that. And in past videos, I've talked about classics, mainly about not banning classics because I'm against banning books in general, but I've talked about how I like Jane Austen and Arthurian legend. That being said, there have been classic books that I'm thank God I'm done reading that. Mainly stuff I read in school, but I'll read books with unlikable characters and problematic things, and I completely understand the importance of learning about problematic things and things that are hard to read about and history through stories, but a lot of classics have very slower writing that give you every single detail, so I can understand why some of them are such a turnoff and why they make you not want to read sometimes. That's why I love seeing people read, even if it's just head-empty books, if that's what's getting them into reading. Another thing that I've read is reading reduces stress. Again, I'll have an article linked below. And in these stressful times, how can we really blame anyone for wanting to read their silly little fairy story or their romance? Because I feel like romance specifically gets a lot of hate. Regardless, read your head-empty books. Have fun. I mean, I know I do. That's what reading is about for me. And at this point, there's only a few more classics that pique my interest, so there might come a time where I don't really read any more classics, and I don't think that necessarily makes me or anyone else less of a reader. I want to escape to different worlds. I want to read about two freaks falling in love. I always used to put pressure on myself to read a classic every once in a while, or to always be reading books that are more challenging and intellectually stimulating, and to never read head-empty books. But now that I've allowed myself to read whatever I want, including head-empty books, I love reading so much more. And I truly believe everyone that watches TV, at some point you watch trash TV, right? Anyone who tells me they only watch the best written TV shows, I'm like, where's your whimsy, bro? Just in general, I'm kind of often saying, where's your whimsy, bro? But I have watched trash TV for sure. Sometimes I just need something I don't have to think about, turn my brain off. And sometimes when they're so bad, you can't stop watching. My Life with the Walter Boys, I don't know if that's what it's called, but I devoured the first season. I think I watched it in a day. It's not good, but I couldn't stop watching. But I see more people open to that concept of watching bad TVs or bad movies when you just need to turn your brain off and escape, but not really want to do a whole lot of deep thinking or anything like that. But for some reason with reading specifically, I see people less open to that. If you want to get mad at publishers for making authors follow more trends or make trendy books and self-promote on TikTok, hell yeah, go off. If you want to talk about the fact that I've seen a lot more typos in the books these days, I don't know why that is, if there's something going on with editing. If you want to talk about that, I completely understand, but why hate on random people who are reading trendy books? Because I mean, if you want to critique a book in its writing, that's completely understandable. I do that too. However, I will never understand and can never get behind hating on people for liking a book that you think is bad, because I have things in my life that I cannot agree to disagree on, but when when it comes to the media that I like, it's truly not that deep. Because if you like something I thought was horrible, or I loved something that you hated, as long as you're not saying to me, and this is why it's terrible, and actually you're a stupid idiot for liking this book, and you're wrong, and you're dumb, and I hate you, then I don't really care that you didn't like it, like in the nicest way possible. Because there have been times where my friends have liked something that I didn't think was good, or I love something they don't like. As long as they're not saying to me like, hey, this is a really terrible book and this is why you're a stupid little idiot for liking it and you're wrong, then it's fine. Like, I think we should just let people like what they like as long as it's not harming anybody. And I just really like the shift of people reading more. I mean, I do curate my own social media experience, so that could be why I'm seeing more readers online, but also in real life, there are people in my life in recent years who have started reading and started to get more into reading and loving it. Like, people I knew in college are posting pictures of them reading ACOTAR and A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm like, yes, get into reading. I don't care if it's the fairy smut books. I really, like, I'm not gonna sit here and go, well, I've read the classics and I've been reading for a lot longer, so I'm a real reader. Like, personally, that's not something I'm ever gonna do, but I'm just so happy to just see people reading. I'm just happy to see books and reading getting love. I'm happy to see these head empty books getting people into reading in the same way Libby's getting people into checking out books from the library, but that's a conversation for a different time as well. So just read what you want. I highly recommend reading what you want. I may recommend classics from time to time if I read them and I like them, and I will post critiques from time to time, but I hope that it's known that I'm never coming from a place of like, well, if this book was awful and if you like this god-awful book, then there's something wrong with you. If someone said that to me, I would cry. So I really, really hope that it never comes across as me being like that. I 100% understand we all have our preferences. But side tangents aside, I'm gonna keep reading books that pique my interest, and I really hope you keep reading books that pique your interest and that people in general are just nicer to each other. Because another sidebar, I know it can be hard to be nice when you're stressed or overstimulated or just frustrated, and trust me, I completely understand. I'm trying to be nice, but my clothes are the wrong texture and stuff like that, but keep trying. I appreciate it, and I'm sure other people appreciate you trying. And this is a more general message, but catching myself when I'm silently hating on people on the internet who are just having fun and liking something that I don't, and instead trying to figure out why it's making me bitter and killing the part of me that cringes, and just being nicer and being unbothered and letting people live their lives and do what they love that doesn't harm them and focusing on the things that I like has made me so much happier. For example, in the past I had moments where I was like, why is this book that I thought was horrible super popular? Like, why does everyone like it when it was so horribly written? And then I just kind of took a moment to be like, okay, I was disappointed by a lot of it. I didn't think it was that well done. But there were parts when I was reading it where I was like, okay, this is fun. And maybe for some people that's all it took. And maybe because of the fact that I only let myself read intellectually stimulating books and try to challenge myself with reading, that's why I'm getting so upset. Like, I'm literally hating from outside the club because I won't let myself in. Now I read whatever I want, and I encourage other people to read whatever they want. And I hope I'm not coming off as too preachy or anything. I, again, was inspired to make this video by Smosh, and also it's discourse that I've seen online for a while and have even heard people talking about in real life, and I just absolutely am the type of person that must speak up for what I believe in. Lastly, I want to say this is something I've noticed on all of social media where people tend to talk like their opinions on facts, so I just want to reiterate that these are my opinions, and again, this is something I've already said, but whenever I critique a book, that's my opinions and why I felt like the book wasn't written for me and I wasn't the audience for it. And that's why the very last thing I want to say is that sometimes just because you don't like something, it doesn't always mean that it's bad. Sometimes it just wasn't your specific taste or wasn't for you. And if you want to be pretentious in a way that evokes confidence, in a way that you're like looking in the mirror that's like, I'm hot and I have the best opinions, highly encourage that. It's when you take it a step further and say, but also everyone else is wrong, and you're like actively hating on other people, that's when I can never get behind that. However, if you want to hate on me, I'm not going to read the comments, go for it. I do recommend trying to take this time to just like log off when you don't like something and just go find something you like instead, because that's also something for me that's made me a lot happier. And again, I really hope I don't sound preachy in all this, but I just can't ever shut up when it comes to wanting people to be niceys. So if you like this, please like and subscribe. And if you like reading, I read a lot of fantasy, romance, fantasy with romance subplots, contemporary romance, and romantasy. Those are the books that I love the most, but I do read different genres. I do like to venture out, read mystery and that kind of stuff sometimes. So if you like that, if you want to hear more about the books that I read, and if you want to see my monthly reading wrap-ups, my reading vlogs, my spoiler-free reviews, and that kind of stuff that I post, like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye!